Hi, Vanny from Clubscraft, where we help sports coaches spend more time with their athletes. And today we are going to talk about the first step in the LTAD or long term athlete development program, and it's the active start. So, when a child is born, we already know all the milestones that they have to cross to say that the child is developing age appropriately. So, they would probably have to start smiling when you come into a room so that they can tell you that they are recognizing you. Then they start holding their head without any support from us. They start rolling, they start sitting up straight, they start standing on their feet, making their first few steps, and then they just start walking normally. So, all of these things are a progression of the child's development. But then, after they start running or after they start walking, we just basically stop monitoring their progress, which is kind of sad because there is so much more that the child can learn. They can start learning to run, they can start learning to jump, to skip on one leg, to skip from one leg to another, to start rolling and throwing stuff, kicking or balancing. So there are a lot of things that child still can learn that will help them in their development once they start getting more active, once they start joining clubs, once they start practicing some different sports. And this is something that's very important for you as a coach or as a parent to know that a child's development doesn't really have to be sport specific. It first and foremost has to be to promote basic physical literacy in all those movements that I just mentioned, like throwing and kicking and punching and rolling. So we really have to promote these things because these are the building blocks that will help your child then later on start really exercising in a particular sport. But if you have a child that is unable to run backwards, if they are unable to walk sideways or have problems with balance and coordination, you have to address these things first because these, as I said, are the foundations for every sport that you can think of. And we have to provide those kids with a safe environment where they can try things out and where there is a little bit of risk involved. So, for example, if they are on a balance beam, you can give them a ball, and after they cross the balance beam, they can throw the ball somewhere on a target. And if they fall over, they have to go back to the back of the line. So there is a little bit of risk involved. So they really start focusing on doing the things right and using their entire body to get the task or exercise done. And we really have to promote this safe environment and failing forward, because if they fail once or twice or three times, we still have to keep firing them up to get to the finish line, because later on when they get into the schooling system, unfortunately, they will have basically unlearned that failing is an option, because they will get a bad grade and they will get discouraged, and then they will just move through the schooling system and trying to think of ways to game the system so that they can really get the best possible grade on on a test, and then just meander through between every test. So ingrain in them that failing is part of the learning process, that they can fail as many times as they want, but they have to keep being persistent and moving into more complicated things. So the active start, as I said, is something from the very beginning of their life until the age of 6, where everything has to be really unstructured and just geared towards enjoyment. It is very important that you look at this just as a foundation for everything that is going to come later on when the kid is starting to specialize. But this is still a few years down the road, and you really have to think about the child development and not try and force them into a particular sport. Yes, you may be, for example, like in my case, a taekwondo club, and you really want those kids to kick and punch and do all of those taekwondo specific things. But what if they don't like it, or what if you realize through their movements that they are much more talented for gymnastics or for judo or for cycling. It's your job as a sports coach to gear them or steer them towards a particular sport where they can have the most enjoyment. When kids leave my club, the first thing I ask, I don't really care about the reason. The only thing that I ask is, are you joining another club? And if they say yes, then I'm really happy, because they are going to continue their active athletic journey, and that's the only thing that I really care. You don't need to be the best in taekwondo, you don't need to be best in athletics, because even if you do everything right in the career of a child, or if they train for something like 10 to 15 years, there is such a small chance that the child is going to be one of the top athletes in their field, that it's much better to invest that time to just get the basics done, get the enjoyment in sport done, and then really find those kids who are really talented for a particular sport. And then once they are at a certain age, which we are going to discuss in one of the later videos, you can really then steer them towards a particular sport, and then making sure that they get as much out of it as possible. I'm going to post as well a blog post on this topic and all the other subsequent topics in the LTAD program, and you'll be able to read them. I just have to finalize a few more things. And yeah, if you really like this, stick around. There are 6 more steps which are part of the LTAD program, and all of these are just geared towards creating a human being that loves being active. And that's something that I find is my mission as a sports coach. I just really want to raise kids that are active, that enjoy being active, and that who find enjoyment in sports. And I really hope that you can find at least a little bit of that in yourself, and that this series of videos that's going to be about the development of athletes is going to change your mind if you are really just stuck on performance and nothing else. If you like it, as I said, like this video please, and share your thoughts on athlete development in general. And yeah, I see you next time. Bye bye.